All right, welcome everyone to our City Council meeting for December 12th, 6 p.m. We could have a roll call to establish quorum, please, Mayor.
Mickey Schneider?
Here.
David Mitchell?
Here.
Terry McClung?
Here.
Mr. Kendrick?
Here.
Bob Thomas?
Here.
James DeVito?
Here.
We have 6.
All right, please. Stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got any additions?
I do.
Okay.
The 2017 Cemetery Commission budget.
I'll second.
Yeah.
Oh.
New business? Is that what you're wanting, Bob?
It
Or-
could be under unfinished because we're coming back again.
Okay.
Either way.
All right, we'll do it unfinished there.
Okay.
Any other? Mickey?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Never mind.
All right. All in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's so moved. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections or additions? If not, all those in favor of the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. All right, we've got anybody from the CAPC who's going to give a report?
Mike is not. Mike was ill today.
Mike is
No, it's Ken Kevin's stuff.
Ken out there?
Got it.
Yep. All right. I did see about parks.
He's supposed to be on his way. Shall we start with?
We'll start with HDC. Let's see. Ms. Bright.
Good evening. I'll read you our overview for 2016 from the Historic District Commission. I'm Dee Bright, the chairman of the Eureka Springs Historic District Commission, which has 6 members. We are sad to say goodbye to Doug Brittling, who has served us for the last 10 years, so we do have a vacancy on our commission now. The Eureka Springs Historic District Commission is empowered by Eureka Springs Municipal Code to issue a certificate of appropriateness for alterations of exterior architectural features, demolition, and new construction within the boundaries of the Eureka Springs Historic District. We meet twice a month. We use the Eureka Springs Historic District Design Guidelines and the U.S. Department of the Interior Standards for the rehabilitation of historic buildings as the basis of our decisions. Our guidelines are updated periodically through workshops which are open to the public. We usually review about 500 applications each year. In 2016, we have reviewed a record number of applications for new residential construction. 12 in all, plus we've had 5 garages and studios and additions. There were also projects which saved blighted properties such as 4 Summit and 8 Washington. Eureka Springs was one of the first districts selected for the Certified Local Government Program in Arkansas, which is the CLG. It's a federal program for local ordinance districts such as ours. As participants, we receive technical assistance and grant funds from our State Historic Preservation Officer, the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. We generally use these grants to fund our commission and staff to attend trainings. In 2016, we attended 3 state ones. They were all in Little Rock. We did 1 national in Mobile. 3 of us drove down for that. Our national are every other year, not yearly. And all of that is basically offshore drilling money. It's not tax dollars even. It's fees that the parks collect. We also are the member of the National Trust for Historic Preservation and Preserve Arkansas, a statewide non-profit. As part of the Arkansas Heritage Month in May, our commissioner presented stewardship awards, and those are for people who have maintained and improved their properties over the last 20 years. This year, our stewardship of historic residents went to 12 White Street, which is Zeke Taylor and Dick Titus. Our outstanding stewardship for historic commercial property went to Ice Cream Delights, which is Richard and Shirley Dunham. Outstanding stewardship of historic sacred place went to St. James Episcopal Church. And I guess we only gave 3 this year. For this event, we joined the Eureka Springs Preservation Society and the Historical Museum to celebrate the Arkansas Heritage Month, which is always in May. We also assisted nonprofit organizations who own contributing buildings in our historic district in their application for historic preservation restoration grants from AHPP. In 2016, this grant was received by St. James Episcopal Church and the Eureka Springs Historical Museum. These grants totaled $36,700 for projects costing $55,000. Local workers do the work, so these preservation grants create jobs as well as helping save some of our important local structures. We also offer information and assistance to those who are interested in applying for the Arkansas tax credit for rehabilitation. This 25% tax credit is based on the cost for work on both residential and commercial contributing properties in the historic district. Glenna Booth, our City Historic Preservation Officer in City Hall, has this information, so you can go down and talk to her. And they just passed something new today for more commercial buildings downtown. I don't know all the details. I just read it on Facebook that there's new grant money, so that will be maybe help some of our buildings downtown. Eureka Springs was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1970. The Historic District Commission was legislated in 1978. One of the first in Arkansas. In 2004, our National Register status was upgraded to national significance. In 2017, our commission plans to continue working to balance this important status with the growth needed to keep our community economically healthy.
Just a question. Y'all work pretty close with the building inspector on buildings that might fall under demolition by neglect, that ordinance or not?
No.
Y'all don't? Have you been
I mean, we
required-
can-
Have you been required by the building inspector to look at any buildings that need to be identified that are supposed to be, whether they're contributing or not?
No,
and
he
make
has
them
to do
report
that.
It
That's
has to come from him
his.
to you.
Yes.
And did any of those occur in 16?
No.
Okay, thank
I mean, we can't go out and, if we see something that after it's been at our table and it wasn't done properly, our channel is to go to Glenna or Bobby Ray, and then they take it. But we're not,
you. The work, yeah.
I personally can't go out and say, hey, your building doesn't meet code.
My question was, are you going to do it as Bobby Ray, or are you going to be able to? Are you aware of the identified list of structures
Yes.
that have been deemed?
But that's still
demolition
not,
by neglect?
that's still not in our,
Are you aware of that list?
yes.
Okay, and you have not been asked to give a ruling whether that's a historic district commission issue or not by the building inspector if it's advancing towards demolition?
No, the building inspector has to do that unless you as a commission instruct us.
No, but your part of the process was built into that.
David, we don't have those powers.
Ma'am, let me explain to you one more time.
We still don't
My
have the
question
powers.
is, when he has identified a building he was supposed to very clearly by the ordinance go to the Historic District Commission so that y'all were aware that that building, which was potentially a contributing structure, may or may not be up for demolition, and so that you were part of that process. So whether you agree you have the power or not makes any difference. You are part of that process.
No.
I disagree.
You are his boss. You need to make sure he does his job. All I can do, yes, James?
I think all David's asking is that the HDC would render an opinion on whether or not that's an historic building or not.
Contributing building.
That's all in the files. I mean, we can pull the file and tell you if it's contributing or not. But that's,
well, you know,
that's your city preservation officer that can pull all of that. Basically, what we do is when you come and ask, we're given the information. We might do a site visit if it's a level 3. Otherwise, it's all in front of us. But we don't, I can't go out and say, you're doing this wrong.
No,
without
that's
going to them.
not what David's saying, and that's not what
Okay.
I'm saying. I'm
That's
just
what I
saying that
understood.
If he found a structure that was in need of demolition, that as courtesy he would come to the HDC and say, is this a contributing structure? Does it have any value? Just an opinion, because of the nature of your commission. That's the only thing he was asking.
You would have to approve the demolition.
We'd have to approve the demolition, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But to tell you if it was a historic building or the folders, all the file cabinets that are downstairs, that's what's in those cabinets. Is in every address in this town, you can pull that. They're open to the public. You can pull that and you can find out if you're contributing or not. So that's access to everybody.
David, did you get your question answered?
It would be a good idea for the HDC to look at the Clean City Ordinance so that they're clear on their obligation. And that's my only comment.
Okay. Mickey?
No, I'm thoroughly confused. My question would be along those lines. If the building inspector finds a building that he is saying needs to be demolished because it's falling down, if the HCC says that that's one of our few, contributing buildings, do you normally, I have no idea how the HCC works on that, do you contact the owner and say, this is a contributing building, would you please fix it? Can you, or do you, or have you?
We have to go to Bobby Ray.
So you guys,
Building
as the
inspector.
historic commission, cannot contact the owner and say, we'd really like to see you save this. You can't.
No,
do
I
it, Bobby.
cannot do
That's-
that.
okay.
Your building inspector must do
Okay.
that. That's
I know
what,
he has to contact in regards to fix it or we're demolishing.
well, he
But-
writes us a letter. If it's like if somebody comes, like if you come to us and you have a building you'd like to be tore down, he has usually done the inspection and there's a letter at our table that we must read saying his findings, and then we rule on that.
Okay, well, because I know that we're limited on our contributing buildings, and that's a major concern.
Yeah, we're
That's why I was wondering-
very close. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
It's
like
that far. That's why
well,
I
if
was
it's, it
wondering.
may just be no far. I mean, yeah, it's serious, guys.
Well, that's why I was wondering if you guys were able to contact the owners and maybe work with them or something on saving.
I wish.
themselves.
I mean, I have a whole list that I think needs to be done, but I can't do that.
Is there any way that has this come up before in other historic areas? Especially since we're now national. Well, has this ever been tried, or has it been brought up and voted down, or
Well,
giving you guys the rights to contact the owner and say, let's
I
work
think
together?
I can't speak for other towns, how they again have building inspectors. I don't know how, again, it all comes down to a building inspector in every city.
Yeah. I just wish there was some program that we'd have, that the HCC and the people who work together to save it.
I think they're curious, what is the process if there's a building that comes before you for demolition and y'all deny the demolition? What happens then?
It should be fixed, but in most cases, the people are just going to let it rot till it gets to the point that you have no choice but to tear it down.
It's so expensive to fix
They
it.
call that demolition by neglect.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know a few years ago, there was demolition neglect on the ballot, but I don't sure everybody understood what its purpose was.
Probably
If
not.
there's a hole in a window, like if we had a hole in this window and it was left, that's demolition neglect, because do you know how much moisture can come in a little hole and it could just rot this room in 6 months? I don't think people understand.
That's the sad part.
Yes.
There are lots of alternatives. I've worked on this issue in New Orleans, and I've been to Flint, Michigan, and there are lots of alternatives to allowing this to continue. And I'd welcome a discussion on this point. Yeah.
But yeah,
It probably ought to
you
be
as the city
an issue.
council would have to give us more power or something, because right now we have none.
There, on other places in the country, properties are being taken away from the owners and fixed up.
Well,
So
as long and hard as we worked on the Clean City thing, I don't remember us ever doing that part of it, including HDC in trying to save. I don't think we
That'd
ever did.
that'd be up to the city council. If we wanted to
Yeah.
fix a building and put a lien on the property, then we could go
Yes.
that route.
We kind of have an outline
what I suggest is that maybe this be put on the agenda for the next meeting
in next year or so.
and next year. Yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody else?
Oh, and I'll second that.
Thank you, Dave.
Bring it up to us next week, next year, Dee.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not going to be chair. I've done my 2 years.
Aw,
Somebody
okay,
else
who's
come.
taking over?
I don't know. We don't
Oh.
vote till January.
Oh, okay.
I've done chair basically for 5 years, off and
Yeah.
on. I'm not leaving the commission.
Oh, okay. So you're going to stay put.
Yeah, just been renewed for 3 more years.
Well, just remind whoever gets in, they have to come and remind us.
All right,
Merry Christmas.
see Mr. Kettleson came in somewhere. Would you like to give us a little report on CAPC? And
Sure. Good evening. I'm Ken Kettleson. I'm the chairperson at the CAPC, and I'm just going to give you a brief overview of where we are year to date. The numbers continue to come in strong for November collections. We currently sit at $1,302,094, which is approximately $91,000 above 2016 projections. Restaurant, hotels, and cabins, as well as cottages, stay strong. B&Bs fell just a little bit. It was a shortfall of about $550, so fairly insignificant in the big picture, but nonetheless less. In terms of marketing going forward, there's been a lot more push on digital marketing, simply because we're in that age, there's a lot of bang for the buck. We could reach markets and areas that are otherwise have been untapped by print, although Mike and the commission continued to do print ads in specific areas. We're really pushing a lot on digital, which is helping our budget immensely and allowing for opportunity in other areas. We focus strongly on the 4-hour radius. Dallas has been real strong for us. Oklahoma City continues to be a strong market. St. Louis, Little Rock, and Kansas City, absolutely. In terms of the high spends, we're looking very closely at budget right now. We meet again this Wednesday. Our budget is not complete, but it's getting closer. And we're looking at sort of what is the fabric of the city versus what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so you may see some changes in where dollars are going in terms of events. And I think the commission's consensus is that's a good thing for some. And so it's where we are today. Again, the numbers are strong. We've done well. Next year, we're looking at increasing the budget by... Gosh, I had that number in my head. 10%, roughly, off both of this year's. And it's basically where we're ending this year. So we should have some money put back, and things look strongly for next year. In terms of the odd, I believe to date we have spent $91,000, and the income was $51,839 in total. So,
Any questions? Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving on the HCC.
You bet.
I mean, on the CAPC.
yeah, somewhere.
Trying to get you here.
Yeah. We do, I don't just, Justin, all right. He may have something came up. Cemetery, we've got a new application. It should be your application for David Sally. Should be in your file folder. So look that over, and we'll see about getting him nominated the next time.
Can do today.
Oh, we can.
Okay, I make a motion
it's up to the
that
council.
we accept David Sally for the Cemetery Commission.
Second.
All right.
I had a chance to chat with him Saturday while Bob and I and part of the commission were freezing our tails off doing our little fundraiser at the parking lot.
Sorry, y'all. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yes, the city needs to come up with money for the cemetery. What did you find out about the possible tax for the cemetery?
That's a different issue.
Different issue? Okay. Well, not if you froze to death Saturday, it's not. Yeah, no, he seems to be very with it, and I think he'll be a very good part to the Cemetery Commission.
Good.
Yeah, he also has been out to the cemetery a couple times just to observe and see what we do. He's retired, he has a part-time job, but he's only a couple of mornings a week, so he's available during the days to help out. He's a good outfit.
Great.
We have a motion and a second?
Yep. Any further discussion? All in favor of David Sally being on the Cemetery Commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, David. Okay. Parks, let's see here. You don't look like Justin, but you look like Parks.
He had a Christmas party to go to.
Ah, okay.
Over us?
Mr. Featherstone, Chairman of the Parks Commission.
Yeah, as I understand it, you just want a brief recap of 2016 and what we plan to do in 2017. Okay. I only made 2 copies, one for Butch and one for me to read off of, but I did send you an email this afternoon if you want to follow on your smartphone. All right, 2016. First and foremost, we hired a new director. Justin has proven to be everything that we bargained for and then some. We're very pleased with his progress. There are so many great things I can say about Justin. Hopefully some of you guys share that sentiment, or all of you guys share that sentiment. But I continue to say that probably the kindest thing I can say about Justin is that prior to moving here, he was just ecstatic about being a member of the community, and he continues to feel that same way. And it's really nice having somebody heading up Parks who just enjoys being here and really likes Eureka. But please, should you have anything good, bad, or indifferent to say about Justin, hopefully you know how to get a hold of me. Number 2, we continue to make progress on the master plan for trails, the goal of which is to create a system of network trails with an epic loop trail that connects downtown to Black Bass to Leatherwood and that serves as the spine to which all trails connect. In 2016, we completed the Slow Ride Beginner Loop Trail at Leatherwood, thanks to the CC riders. We launched a trails website, that being EUREKATrails.com, thanks to Adam Biasat. We've installed new signs at Leatherwood, thanks to the Rotary's money and the CC riders' hard work. And we have an updated map, thanks to the Trails Committee and the CAPC. Updated in the sense that obviously corrections have been made, but now you can be anywhere on our trail system at Leatherwood and identify exactly where you are. It's coordinated. Have you guys seen the new map? I should have brought some copies of the new map with me, and I apologize for that. But if you're on the trails at Leatherwood, typically no more in no longer than a quarter mile in distance, you can find a marker with a number on it, and then go to your map and know exactly where you are on the map. So it should eliminate a lot of those people who find themselves lost at Leatherwood. But we've got a lot of new signs at Leatherwood as well. Number 3, we continue to make progress on the master plan for Leatherwood Park, the goal of which is to make Leatherwood self-sustaining. This year we bought a complete new fleet of rental boats that have already paid for themselves. Have you guys seen the boats at the marina? We've got some awesome boats at the marina. And it was an overwhelming success, and they're already paid for. That's pretty awesome in what was essentially less than one season. We've established a bike camp. Are you familiar with that concept? 3 tiny houses just north of the marina and the bathhouse. And we're calling it a bike camp, but obviously it's open to anybody. And it's somewhere in between a rustic campsite and one of our cabins out there. It has electricity, but it is rustic.
The electricity and a roof.
If you and please, when you're out at Leatherwood next time, go to the effort. It's not very far. It's kind of tucked behind the woods. It's a little bit private, but take a look at those and give us some feedback. 4, we installed Christmas decorations. It wasn't entirely what we wanted it to be this year, and you guys know why, because of the freeze with your budget. But we're proud of what it did end up being under the circumstances. We established a new event at Leatherwood, that being the NICA event, National Interscholastic Cycling Association event. Is that an acronym that's foreign to? Okay. This was the first year. NICA is the equivalent of a varsity sport in high school for mountain biking. And it's in 20-plus states now. It came to Arkansas for the first time this year. There were 4 races. One of them was at Leatherwood. By all accounts, ours was the most popular of those 4 races. It was tremendously successful. 125 participants, and all their families were here. And it was.
How long were they here?
They came in. Some of them came in on a Friday. Most came in on a Saturday. The race was actually a Sunday morning, and I'm sure most or all of them were gone by Sunday evening. So it's pretty much a weekend event, and has a lot of promise to grow over the years. In some states, they're attracting way over 1,000 students at each of their races, and there's great potential here with the popularity of mountain biking. 6, we participated in the IMBA World Summit in Bentonville. Tremendous exposure for Leatherwood and Eureka Springs. There were approximately 600 attendees from 30-plus states and 10-plus countries. We actually had a double booth there that, in my opinion, was as nice as any there, and tremendous traffic came by our booth. Lots of great conversations and contacts and that kind of thing. And it's hard to quantify how that will play out over the years, but we felt a lot better about it than we anticipated.
Can I interject?
Sure.
Now, those 600 people, those were not just 600 bike riders. These are the decision makers, the club presidents, bike clubs all around America. So these are the ones who would direct their members to Eureka Springs. So these were 600 very important people in mountain biking.
Thanks for saying that, and you're 100% correct, James. These are the shakers and movers in the mountain biking industry. And those people will go, this will filter down in many ways once they go back to their homes, and I'm sure already has. So, again, it's always, as you guys know in marketing, it's always hard to quantify the results of that, but we knew it was going to be good going into it. We came out of it feeling exponentially better about it. It was just totally awesome. And on top of that, we gave away over 300, and not to say we gave away, with the help of the CAPC, gave away over 300 T-shirts. We had some cool T-shirts. They were T-shirts that they wanted. They were coming to get their T-shirts once they saw them being filtered out. And of course, those are walking billboards. So it was awesome. I wish they could have it in Bentonville every year, but it's every 2 years, and they move it around. And number 7, we established a liaison with the CAPC, specifically in the way of strategic planning on the marketing of trails. That's kind of a long time coming, but we do appreciate the opportunity to work with the CAPC and promote hiking and biking, and I won't bore you with all the benefits of being involved in that process, but it's the now and it's the future. 2017, more progress on the master plan for trails. We want to connect the community center to Black Bass Lake, Black Bass Lake to Leatherwood Park. We're going to build new trails at Black Bass. We're going to establish an Adopt a Trail program to help with the maintenance of trails. That's done in many communities, and it's high time that we do something too. And we will more than likely finish this year a new trail from Harmon Park to Clear Springs School. That was going to be a paved trail. It's looking like now it's going to be something less than paved, but a great trail that will allow for a safe route between Harmon Park and Clear Spring, and also be a part of what will be the epic loop that I mentioned to you earlier. It will be part of that. That'll be the extension from Harmon Park out to Leatherwood Park, or part of it. More progress on the master plan for Leatherwood. This winter we will be remodeling several of the cabins. We plan to have the Leatherwood Committee more active than it was this past 12 months and as it was in previous years. We'll have a reservation system for our cabins and tent sites and whatnot, automated, which again is probably something that's long overdue, but it's very promising just how much that's going to help with our vacancy rate, which historically has been something around, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but we have about a 75% vacancy rate on an annual basis, meaning that we're full 25% of the time. And we feel like that 50% is more than reasonable for what we have to offer. That'll be easier done with cabins that are remodeled. You haven't seen our cabins in recent years. Number 3, we will have written a new operations and management policy manual that will not conflict with the city manual, but serve as something that is more specific to Parks and Rec. Number 4, we will launch a new parks website. To say that ours is archaic probably doesn't cover it adequately, and again, that's something that's long overdue. And I and Stephen Foster, for 2 people, are real excited about that reality. Number 5, write a master plan for parks, incorporating the revised versions of the master plans for trails and Leatherwood. This is something that's been on the back burner for some time, and I don't know what else I need to say about that other than we want to have a long-term, and that be a 10-year and beyond plan for our park system that is not just specific to trails and not just specific to Leatherwood, but incorporates all the properties that you guys have charged us for the management. Number 6, better surveillance of parks properties to help curtail vandalism. Unfortunately, we've got some, and if anything, it's getting worse, not better. I don't know what you guys are experiencing throughout other city properties, but it's sometimes discouraging what's happening with some of our properties. And unfortunately, the only way to get out in front of that is to apprehend those who choose to do that kind of thing. Number 7, we're going to do an exterior makeover of the Harmon Park restrooms. The facade has failed, and well, enough said. We're going to start a newsletter for parks that we will issue on a regular basis. Hopefully have a very large list to distribute that to keep people abreast of parks ongoings without having to work so hard at doing that, and in some cases not doing a very good job of it. And lastly, your second number 8 should be a number 9. We'd like to modify the resident requirement for at least one commissioner on our commission. I know we've talked about that at this table. I haven't talked to Justin recently as to any progress that we've made in that regard, but we continue to consistently have a vacancy on our commission. As long as I can remember, we've always had 6. We occasionally have 7, and it seems like every time we get a 7th, something happens, and we're back to 6. And the best way to get around that I can think of is to relax the requirement that you actually live inside the city limits to be a member of the commission, at least for one commissioner.
I thought we passed that.
I don't.
Discussed.
You discuss. I don't think we've resolved that. So,
Okay.
as a reminder, let's see if we can do something with that. And I know there's some anxiety among some that it should be restricted to only those that live inside of town. But I can tell you from Parks experience, we have so many volunteers that help us at Parks. And though I can't give you the data, I would hasten to say that the vast majority of those people don't live inside of town. And they devote a tremendous amount of their time and effort to help with Parks projects. And so the same is true on the commission. There are people that would like to sit on the commission, but unfortunately live outside of town. So that's all I've got. Question? Ooh.
Okay, I'll go first. Could you put on your list of things to do, and I don't know if you've looked at them yet or not, but the stringers and the treads on the Basin Park band shell, they need to be addressed and soon.
As in they're dangerous?
Yeah, they're rotten.
The treads are they're rotten.
The treads and the stringers look.
Okay.
You know, I didn't go up and try and stick my knife through them or anything like that, but the treads are very evident. And I know that probably 10 years ago, one day at the park, I gave Bruce money to go up and get lumber to rebuild the treads, just because at that time they were that near to falling through. So
duly noted, and that's certainly a high priority, and I don't doubt that the accuracy of what you say. And one of the things Donna did, and I don't know if this happened in the beginning, the first quarter of 2016, but it probably did, was she had the concrete steps from Basin Park to Joe's building repaired, and Tom did a great job on addressing that, because that was a hazard as well.
Yeah, they need
But yeah, duly noted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Christie?
And I don't have the exact year, but it's something like 2011, the City Council approved your trails plan. Has it been modified by you since that time?
Was it 2011? Has it been that long?
Maybe I'm incorrect.
It was July of, I want to say, 2013.
Okay, maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
but
Since I've been on council, and I've only been 2 terms before, it came up the first year, so about 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's about right. To answer your question, from that point in time to today, I don't know. Okay, I don't think it's actually been altered. Okay, I know the spirit has not been altered, but the actual document itself, and I wish I could answer that more definitively, but we had a computer issue with the transition and directors, and we lost a lot of information, and so I wish I could give you a better answer than that. I'll try to get a better answer for you on that. But the intent is to update it, modify it, and it's not going to be anything that should raise any eyebrows. Don't get me wrong. More than anything else, it's going to be more specific and less general and more specific, which is a good thing, because people have questions.
because I think in conjunction with the street vacation issues that we have been considering, at least some council people would like to look at the trails plan again. And so I want to make sure that we are looking at an accurate trails plan.
Well, it sounds like a great opportunity for us to have a joint workshop between our commission and council and address this very thing. I think that's probably a good idea at this point because, some water has gone under the bridge and we have accomplished some things and some concepts have changed, not dramatically, but I would suggest that maybe we do something jointly to get everybody up to speed on where we are and where we intend to go. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Two questions, one good, one bad.
The bad first.
Oh, no, this is the good one. Mozzarella. Did y'all ever check into it?
If y'all,
Be honest.
Well, it's the only way to be. If y'all is me, no.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean it's been forgotten.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Huger
and huger.
It is, and there's several copycats.
Mozzarella is a sporting event that a parks commissioner, whomever, puts on that is designed by women for women, although men can have something to do with it. And it's called Mozzarella. And it's phenomenal. My girlfriend in Melbourne was scheduled to do one this month until she broke a leg. So she's out of it for this year. We've got one in New Jersey, one in New York or Pennsylvania, one of those places, and like one in California. I think that's it for our country. But this is a worldwide new event, and EUREKA would be perfect. Not only geography, but personality makeup-wise.
How do you spell Muddle?
Mudderella.
There's some other ones too, but Tough Mudder is one, and
But
there's
this is the original and
yeah.
the most phenomenal. It is just awesome.
They're neat events, and they are hugely successful in some cases. There's always the liability issues, and people have gotten hurt, but that goes with that kind of territory. But
this is something I brought up to him a couple of months ago. Okay, so now the bad question, and I'm getting calls about this. The hog problem. How is that being dealt with? I know tons of stuff over the years, last couple of years I've been tried.
Well, we did have a town meeting of sorts not too long ago up at the community center, and it was fairly well attended, and Justin had some, so-called experts that joined us, including one of the manufacturers of perhaps the most popular trap. And the short answer to that is, I agree, hogs are a problem. They continue to be a problem at Leatherwood. It kind of comes and goes. Fortunately, they haven't got into the parts of the park where they can do damage that you get super excited about. Like they haven't got into the cabins area. They're mostly on the east side of the lake. But surrounding neighbors have had some significant issues.
Those are the people that are calling me, are the surrounding countrysides.
Yeah. And what we've committed to is we've committed to buying a trap or traps and to do our part to eliminate part of the population at Leatherwood Park.
Well, I know when we started working on it, that was about the time that they started doing laws about the hunting, eating, and removing.
Yeah. Well, we have been active before. It's been a couple of years. We had some guys from Fayetteville and Rogers come in and do some trapping, and they were pretty successful. I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was 20-some-odd or 30-some-odd hogs that we harvested. Doug Stowe and Gene Elderwin, I think they'd be okay if I told you this. They had a tremendous issue, and they've done a lot of damage on their property.
They have, yeah.
And they're very active in doing their part, and I think they're at 20-something now. But those numbers may sound big to some, but it's nothing. Their litters are, in the neighborhood of 6 pigs or piglets, and they have, 2 to 3.
3 times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
gotten
it's
really
amazing
bad. I mean, they're
how
moving in-
prolific they are.
Yeah,
And
they're moving in from the countryside towards town. People need to
Yeah.
be aware because
well, you know, Gene and Doug, they live just outside of town on the north end of town, so it's that close.
well, they're
And-
coming in and they're going after our pet cats and small
Yeah.
dogs, and it's getting really bad. Which
Yeah.
is why I was wondering what Leatherwood was doing. Parks was
And
doing.
realistically, that problem's not going to get better. You try to kind of keep it in check, but you have to be very aggressive, very proactive to do
Is this
that.
something that Parks and the city should have a workshop on so we can work together in some way? I don't
Well, again,
know what new laws they have made on
We
it.
did have a meeting, and it wasn't intended to be the only meeting on this. We do plan to have another meeting, and so I'll make sure. I'm kind of getting the feeling that maybe we didn't do a good job of alerting you guys to that meeting. Okay, well, we'll do a better job of that and try to get more people involved. But there needs to be a concerted effort. What came out of that meeting was, because you want to have a takeaway out of that, was that what we really need is some means by which everybody that's affected by this can input data on their observations and and I apologize for saying this, but for their kills and that kind of thing, so you can kind of figure out where the hot spots are and who's doing what, and we're not all acting independently of one another. There has to be a concerted effort to
concentrate and move from there.
Yeah.
Have you been having any coyote problems out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because they're all in town. You can hear them
Yeah.
at night. Okay, thank you.
We are, and to go ahead, we discussed the hog issues at department head meetings, how much weekly. And they are, as mentioned, Parks has, I think they got 2 traps, large traps, and talking about setting up and baiting. There was issues for a while on carcasses and how to get rid of them and all that, and I think we've got that all resolved. So I think actually we're getting into the season where we're going to actively start trapping.
When we trap the hogs, what do we do with them? We don't release them elsewhere, do we?
Shoot them.
Okay. Do we
Thank you for being blunt.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do we eat them? Do we take them to turpentine?
We've got several people, fire department, police department, who are willing to go out there and pick them up.
People do eat them. Turpentine Creek will not accept them. Big cats don't like them, or they're not safe.
They can't accept them.
It's got something to do with the ticks in the skin. I checked about that because I used to get all of our roadkill, so to speak, being blunt again. And it's got something to do with the ticks on the deer, and even if they're skinned, they still can't let their cats have them, according to their vet. So I would assume that the hog would be the same way. But that doesn't stop people from being able to utilize it rather than wasting.
We have been said, whatever they get.
They're very good done over a wood fire.
Yeah.
This
Other questions?
is a serious problem.
One more. Will the Clear Spring School Trail still be ADA compliant?
Yes. That is our intent. Yeah, it's going to be, I'm failing to come up with the right terminology, but it's going to be permeable, but a semi-hard surface, and the slope will be such that it'll be ADA compliant. Yeah, we were going for asphalt, and
One parting shot. Have you ever considered trailer camping out at Lake Leatherwood? Because I know it's becoming a big thing in America.
Trail camping, where you
RVs, things like that.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Justin is real big on RVs. In fact,
Thank you.
maybe too big.
No, it is a big deal in America today.
It is.
And I know VOC just opened up their campground. They're getting $65 a night.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great source of revenue, and obviously we're trying to balance that revenue with not changing the overall feel and functionality of the park, and it's not easy to do.
Actionless and modernist.
But the idea is to, again, the master plan is the premise is to make the park self-sustaining. It's historically operated at a $60,000 deficit every year, and that money needs to be redirected to other parks activities that are woefully underfunded.
sure, I think, the last question. But a couple of years ago, council came up with a fund that was sitting around for a long time, about $34,000 to buy the Christmas stuff. And the last I ever heard, there was about half of that left in that fund. And then there was also a renovation of a basement on a building out there where all of the Christmas supplies could be located and secured in one place, and where we evidently found the I'm going to call them the Bosatari Memorial wreaths, and relit them, and they're up, and they look great and everything. So I just wanted to ask you for sure, is there still money in that fund, and is that the basement still dedicated and containing the Christmas decorations for security?
Okay, yes, the basement of the house next to the log cabin that we use as an office for parks, the basement is fully devoted towards Christmas decorations. It packs it out. That was one of the things Donna did, and super organized, and Pat, yes. When Pat Lujan worked for us. Super organized, very well done. So that part's great. We did have money left over going into this Christmas. We had to obviously dip into that for labor, the labor expense of getting the Christmas decorations. I don't know if Justin spent all that money or not, but I'm sure he spent a lot of it. So next year will be very critical as far as finding some new money for Christmas, especially if we want to expand the decorations. So.
Well, I didn't realize that we were paying for labor to put them up. I thought Public Works put the wreaths and stuff like that up, but now you're saying that money was used for labor. Well, I wasn't aware of that.
We had 3 staff people that for I think at least a week worked full time on getting the decorations out. Yeah.
And that's where the money went for the staff people?
Yes. Yeah.
Public Works did a lot of the hanging, but a lot of the stuff like in the Basin Park proper and some of the other parks, Public Works were on that.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. And I hate to, I can see you're squirming a little bit and whatnot, but going into the Christmas thing, parks didn't have any money to be involved. We wanted to be involved, but we don't have anything budgeted for Christmas.
Okay. Well, the decorations a couple of years ago got new LED lighting and got a huge refurbishing, and I think you can see that in this year when all was able to be used to put up.
Yeah, it's super well organized right now, which obviously for several years running it was not.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Okay, you bet.
All right. Got any public comments?
Yes, sir.
No public comments? All right. New business. Then we've got get a motion to discuss Joshua Bailey.
Almost.
All right.
We have Joshua Bailey.
Joshua Bailey here.
Move to postpone.
Well,
Wait
Not here
until she
within-
finds out.
Time.
Could be hiding in the corner.
Not here? All right, got a motion to move to postpone. Get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we will postpone him to further notice when he shows up.
There he is.
Yeah, we'll call him back in.
Yeah, all right. Bill, before you leave, we're getting ready to talk about prohibition of smoking in city parks.
I was wondering why you were leaving.
Yeah.
That's why you
Get out of
said
thought I
Merry
was
Christmas.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay. I think we do have something, do we not have?
No.
No? No, all right. James,
Basically, the impetus behind this was to pass an ordinance prohibiting smoking in city parks. The issue we have in the only park that we've tried to do that in is Basin Park. Personally encountered some rather belligerent people who basically were ready to chase me out into the street because they felt like they had the right to smoke in the city park. I since approached them and we resolved that issue, but the police won't enforce it because we don't have any enabling ordinance to have penalties involved with that. Now I know Justin wants to exempt Lake Leatherwood Park, and I'd like to bring that discussion to that one park. I personally feel, while smoking is an issue, I think the threat, given what has occurred in places like Gatlinburg in recent month, is to me a big concern about lit cigarettes in the park. Now, the other thing that has occurred, and Justin doesn't want to, he wants to exempt Lake Leatherwood Park, and I understand the question about revenue is basically what's driving him on that issue. And we had talked about outlawing all tobacco products. Now, what has also occurred since that discussion is the legalization of medical marijuana in Arkansas. And as in most states, a lot of that is delivered to the patient by vaporizers. So I also see the opportunity to exempt vaporizers in city parks, which would allow tobacco users, basically you're using the same device to deliver the product, but a vaporizer does not have the ignition source that a cigarette or a cigar does. And who is going to go around policing what's in your vaporizer? So I feel that we could have the ability to ameliorate the impact to smokers by allowing vaporizers, because quite frankly, medical marijuana can be delivered through a vaporizer, so that's something we cannot prohibit. So I don't want to be the vaporizer police to, we're going to run a chemical analysis on your vaporizer to see if that's a tobacco product or not. The other, which I have issues with personally, is oral administration of tobacco through snuff and things like that, which I don't see a threat to the park as a fire issue. So on one hand, we have the issue of prohibiting smoking in Basin Park. I think we can't outlaw vaporizers because of the new thing that's happened in Arkansas with medical marijuana. So I feel like we could still go ahead and outlaw, the cigarettes and cigars in all of city parks, and people could still dip snuff and use a vaporizer to administer tobacco products.
I have a problem with tobacco also from a litter standpoint, and cigarette butts are left all over the place, and I think oral tobacco has the same. I would have an objection to that for the same reason.
You don't have a filter with
Well,
tobacco.
I mean, a lot of people spit it on the ground.
Well, then
and-
you're going to outlaw spitting.
Well,
in city, there's
no,
already
just
laws.
spitting tobacco.
There again.
So I agree with you that I think that it ought to extend to Lake Leatherwood, but I also would be willing to compromise insofar as the vaporizer goes. And you're right, the amendment does prohibit us from taking certain steps as far as prohibiting medical marijuana.
Mickey?
Keeping in mind, I quit smoking 3 years ago. A very logical, obvious question that y'all are going to hate. You going to pay for the policing that it will take to have somebody stay down at Lake Leatherwood 24/7 to make sure the law is followed? And if you don't, selective policing is illegal. I understand the city park right here, people can step out, walk down the street, walk down the sidewalk, whatever. Lake Leatherwood, once you're there, you're pretty much contained in a very large area. Not allowing someone to smoke is a violation of their personal rights. As far as a fire hazard goes, I do not know of any fires that have ever happened at Lake Leatherwood, so that would be held against the city for using that as an excuse to do this. And the list goes on. You are outside in air blowing smoke away. If someone doesn't like smokers, they don't need to stand by them. because they have plenty of room to go elsewhere. These are all the kind of things you really need to keep in mind before you put the city at risk.
James?
We prohibit smoking in a number of places, and there's no constitutional.
Civilized areas.
me,
Excuse me, my butt.
Mickey,
You did it to
Mickey,
her, I'm
Mickey.
doing it to you.
Okay, Mickey, all right.
Civilized areas, meaning right here in city limits, yes, we have cops and people all the time. Who do we have down at Lake Leatherwood? Except an
Mr.
event?
Mayor.
No
Mickey,
one.
Mickey, please,
No, he's being stupid.
James.
Excuse me, I'm having a bit of a problem collecting my thoughts now.
May I take a minute just to clarify Park's position on Leatherwood? Justin's concern, and it's really the commission's concern too, to blanketly, outlawing smoking at Leatherwood Park is it would be very restrictive to a lot of our customer base. We think it's more appropriate to restrict smoking from areas and in areas selectively that makes sense as opposed to all 1,600 acres. And as far as the fire hazard goes, we allow campfires, which obviously are a much bigger threat in the way of fire. Yes, you could selectively do things like there's no smoking on the trails. I think that's where your concern mostly comes into play, somebody smoking on the trail and dropping a cigarette butt out in the woods. We don't want people smoking in the cabins, but if they're sitting on the front porch, we're kind of okay with it because it's kind of bad business to not allow people to smoke on the porch, basically. That's not our personal opinion. I mean, if ours are, nobody would be allowed to smoke anywhere, anytime on the planet, but we are running somewhat of a business at Leatherwood Park, so we have to take all things into consideration. So, anyway.
Less than 20% of people smoke anymore in that.
Doesn't matter.
I'll just wait until I can have the floor, Mr. Mayor.
20% is 20%, big deal.
Mickey, let's hold it on. James?
I'm sorry, I just am a firm believer in logic and fairness and
can't-
equality.
Mickey, come on, hold it for a moment. You'll have your turn again.
We can't conduct ourselves as a body here. We don't have decorum. And this is very disruptive. Most of our laws are passed, and most people obey our laws because that is the law. We don't have police going around looking to enforce our laws. A lot of our laws require complaints to be filed by citizens. And the overwhelming majority of people in this country obey the laws. So I'm in no way advocating that there's a Gestapo cigarette police force going around and enforcing this. And I defer to your judgment as to you're going to lose revenue over this. You may actually increase revenue over this when people know they're going to a smoke-free facility. And as Ms. Christie has said, Kendrick has said, litter is also a problem. And I observe people all the time that smoke that just casually throw that lit cigarette down on the ground. And to say there's never been a fire does not mean there can't be a fire. So from the aspect of litter, from the aspect of setting bad examples to the kids and the families that are out at the parks, I see no monetary benefit by catering to that very small minority of people who smoke. And as we have discussed already, there's a number of alternatives to smoking. Vaporizers, patches, all of these other things. So in all due respect, I just don't buy the aspect. I mean, my restaurant went smoke-free. I don't think I lost any customers over that. And I think the country is moving in that direction. And for something like parks, which is about enjoying nature and fresh air and things like that, I just don't see a monetary loss that's worth losing the integrity of parks over.
David?
It's an interesting subject because my end is smoke-free for the rooms, but I let people smoke outside because there's air, there's movement, there's a breeze. So in all honesty, listening to everybody here, Bill, I totally support your explanation and where you are with it in designated areas in the park. I would have a hard time blanketing the whole park with it. I think you can have selected smoking areas or different things and signage appropriately and try. But just a blanket, I agree with you, is what I'm saying.
I disagree. I think the parks are about health, and smoking is just anathema to that. And Mickey, we can have prosecutorial discretion. Not everything has to be prosecuted equally in every case.
Terry?
You know, I mean, we can sit here and kick this around till doomsday. My suggestion is that somebody make a motion for it, you know, and see how the vote shakes out. But I too am. I understand about Basin Park, the other parks in town, and really not even 100% on them necessarily, but Leatherwood,
Mickey?
Logic is a wonderful thing. If you don't like smoking, don't stand by a smoker. If a smoker enjoys parks and they want to ride their bikes, they have every right to do that without being infringed upon, just like anybody else. It's outside. It's not inside. It's not a closed little area. It's a huge area. Don't stand by a smoker. Don't go with a smoker. No, there are not that many smokers, but that doesn't give you the right to target, and I can't believe I'm saying this in this year of all times, a small group of people. Do not pick on 20%, because after all, they're just a mere 20%. Who does this remind you of? And especially this year. Leave them alone. Designate areas, put signage, we prefer no smoking over here, whatever.
I was under the impression that there had been a motion previously and we were waiting for parks to bring an ordinance.
I think that we're trying to.
I thought we had voted to have the city attorney draft an ordinance.
I had understood.
Well, I've got a copy of the ordinance with me that I understand to be the most recent version of what's been worked on.
Is that for the no smoking in the parks, all the parks?
Yep.
Okay.
But that's never been to council.
Yes, there was an ordinance brought before us over a month
That
ago.
we needed rewritten.
And I think we sent it back to Parks to work on it.
For smoking?
Yes.
I don't
I
remember.
haven't missed a meeting in a while.
I think it was a matter that we thought it needed to be rewritten or rewritten.
I think it was based on other.
It's just, I do have an ordinance here in front of me. I guess what we need to do, since council doesn't have a copy of it, or, you know, we should put it on, I mean, we can call a 5-minute recess if y'all want to read it,
I
or we
would
can
move to
just
place
move to next
that. I
time.
would move to place that ordinance on the agenda for the next meeting,
I'll second that.
Okay.
and it's on the agenda.
Where is this?
All right, we got a motion and
Who
a
has
second. Any
this?
further discussion?
Now that's to have
Who
the
has this? Where-
ordinance brought forth so we can read it, right? And decide if we want
A
it.
Word document would be
Yeah.
really good.
So, all right, motion and,
Not a good time.
been made and seconded that we'll have this ordinance in front of you for the next council meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying.
That's the procedure, is a motion and a second, for it's an agenda item, so it's on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, that's good enough. We'll do that. Yep.
May I say just one last thing? I really appreciate all the comments on this, and I know it's a little bit of an emotional issue and kind of gets personal and whatnot. I don't disagree with really hardly anything that was said here. if I had data that would support the premise that we wouldn't lose any revenue at Leatherwood, I mean, I'd be all over no parking in all of Leatherwood, all of Black Bass, everywhere. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I do trust you, James.
I believe it, so
But
trust me.
that 20% is not insignificant. And for parks users, again, I don't have the data to support this, but it may actually be 40%. I don't know. Okay.
That's 20%.
So I would rather ease into, maybe limit smoking in a way that has teeth and is enforceable at Leatherwood as a first step, and maybe move towards making it a smoke-free zone in all of Leatherwood over whatever period of time that takes.
Years when our
but-
$1 is up.
But that's, I appreciate your passion in this regard.
We'll see you at the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Merry
All right,
Christmas,
thank you.
Bill.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
All right, next item is our ordinance number 2250 for the reclaiming unopened alleyways in Dairy Hollow, third reading. James.
Move to place ordinance number 2250 on its third reading by title only.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Well,
Roll call.
yep.
Mr. McClung,
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick,
Yes.
Mr. DeVito,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2250, an ordinance authorizing the City Council pursuant to the Eureka Springs Municipal Code to reclaim jurisdiction over certain property located in Dairy Hollow.
Move to approve ordinance 2250 on its third reading.
Second?
Any discussion?
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. DeVito,
Yes.
Ms. Kendrick,
Yes.
Mr. McClung.
Mm-hmm, yes.
6-0.
Okay. All right, got that down. Next item of business is ordinance number 2249, the food trucks for third reading. James?
Move to place ordinance number 2249 on its third reading by title only.
Second?
All right, discussion? Okay.
Mr. DeVito,
Yes.
Ms. Schneider,
Nope.
Ms. Kendrick,
Yes.
Mr. McClung,
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
5-1. An ordinance regulating food trucks and trailers and amending Chapter 4 Business Licenses and Regulations of the Municipal Code of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Move to approve ordinance number 2249 on its third reading.
Second?
Any discussion? Being none?
Ms. Schneider,
Nope.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. McClung,
Yes.
Mr. DeVito,
And as my last vote as a city council person? Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Not yet.
Ms. Kendrick.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
5-1.
All right. We could date for a workshop on the vacation process. Are we going to try to establish that tonight, or?
Not before January, that's for sure.
Okay.
Do we need to meet with Parks first over the trails?
Do you want to have a joint workshop?
I think that would be fine.
All right, well then I will see if I can work something up to coordinate between the two groups then. All right, cemetery budget. Get a motion to discuss?
So, second.
All right. I think what, Bob, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're looking at is you're wanting to include $4,000.
Yeah, we
That-
had, I'm not sure if we discussed it at a workshop or if we had a meeting, but evidently didn't vote on it. And what happened is that instead of getting any increase, we actually were cut from the proposed 2017 budget. What I would like to do is not just ask for $4,500, but get us back up to the total amount that we were asking for, which was 26,000 in wages and 68,28 in expenses, which is an increase of 4,500 over 2016.
David?
Salaries and wages, is that also benefits and all that?
They don't get benefits, they're part-time.
The two parts.
They still get part benefits.
And they get workman's
They
comp.
get workman's
Yeah,
comp.
well, yeah.
They do, so, yeah.
So is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
One last question,
Okay.
because I'm 100% support
Uh-huh.
the cemetery, I really do on that aspect. I definitely think we need to put the money in, and I had a question, Mayor, because we went back to that thing about in the mayoral budget, and that's where a lot of education is put
Right.
and everything, and then there was discussion about who goes and when goes. Could some of that money that's dictated, because unless I'm wrong, it seems like the mayor should always attend all the municipal leagues because that is the biggest opportunity for networking if there possibly is for the state. But thereafter, that maybe the networking goes to any new council person has definitely the first two municipal leagues put in for them. But that should leave a bit of a surplus that could easily cover this by shifting that education over, because there would be a fair amount of money that would cover the cemetery if somebody happens to be worried about money for the cemetery.
I have a couple of questions. Did you look into that voluntary tax?
I actually have a copy of it, the burial tax. I've been over there before, so I'm going to do it, but quite frankly, with the tractor out at the cemetery and all of that stuff going on, I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
But, I mean, I know what the answer is going to be, So
What do you think the answer is going to be?
as I was told by Municipal League, that Berryville passed theirs back in 1975, and that currently the only way you can do it is if you are a volunteer fire or police or
That's not
rural
what I was
fire.
told.
Okay.
I gave him a tax person.
Pardon?
I gave him a tax person to contact
Okay.
on that.
And I tried, and that helped a little bit. It's a voluntary tax. Municipal League
Right.
said if the city council wants to put it on an ordinance, it's a voluntary tax, so it doesn't have to go to a vote of the people. It's voluntary. You pay it or you don't pay it. The question is, how we would put it on and who would collect it.
Right.
Now, city clerk or the county clerk probably doesn't want to collect it because it's more burden to them. But it's a voluntary situation, so if, again, it doesn't have to go to a vote, and municipal league felt like we could just establish an ordinance and do it.
Now, is that for a
And I asked David,
percentage or an
David Chung to
amount?
talk to you about that.
Well, he was the one that gave me his opinion, which was about 6 months ago.
Well, he may have re-looked at it again. When I talked to him, that was
Because
his-
after I talked with him, then you and I talked about trying to get it on the water and sewer bills, and we couldn't figure out how to do that, So we were.
well, it's a voluntary tax, so therefore,
Did they
should
specify if
do
it had to be a specific amount or a percentage or whatever you wrote in?
just whatever you wrote.
So they said it could be any of those? Okay.
Perhaps I misunderstood, but at the end of our budget meeting, I understood that we had not yet found the money for the breathing apparatus for the fire department. Is that correct?
That's under capital,
Okay.
so that's a separate issue.
Okay.
Terry, whoops, I'm sorry.
No, as long as it doesn't, my concern, of course, is that the firemen have the breathing apparatus and that we don't take it out of that.
We have, and David is correct, last year I didn't go at all to any of the municipal league. I also, and I don't know what the council realized, I don't charge for any gas when I go to Harrison or Fayetteville or places. I don't get reimbursed. I haven't received a reimbursement check since, I don't know when. But anyway, so there is money, I think, in there. We had a $7,000 budget, and I didn't use any of it hardly. So there's some money that can be readjusted there. It's not a lot, but there's also some other areas that we could put some money back in. And I'm sorry, I don't know where, how we got you got cut from the 25, 30, and the 26, or the 32 to the 25. I'd have to go back and look at that, so. Mr. McClung.
If there's one thing this year that I had multiple complaints about, it was the cemetery Memorial Weekend, and it was pretty disgusting. And the city deserves better, and so I make a motion that we approve what he's requested. I really do.
Okay, I get a second.
That's simple.
Second.
Okay, further discussion?
One comment. We weren't in charge for Memorial Day weekend.
Didn't say you were.
I know, but
He wants to clarify, since they now are.
We won't even go into all the decorations that got thrown into the.
Yeah. So the budget's going to just cover them for 2,746, the deficit.
We're going, no, I'm
confused.
hearing
This is what
the
we
motion.
had
What I'm
this
going
year.
to do is go back
That's what's in there
into
this year.
Oh, it's from that.
Bring it up to the 32,828.
32,828.
Correct.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why you're voting on a budget item when it should be incorporated into the budget and then you pass the budget.
So we can,
Well, I
we can
think-
get it in
You
there.
don't want this to be your last vote as a
I
council?
think,
Right,
I think what the motion was for us to include it in the budget.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
That's so we make sure it gets done.
Yeah.
Are we having another budget meeting? I'm curious.
Mr. Thomas wanted one.
Okay.
So it's up to the council. I mean, we'll get with you all. And if y'all, Terry said he didn't care. Terry likes meetings.
Love them.
James doesn't care.
I don't stay all night.
Well, we do have to have one sometime in January so we can approve it before.
Oh, well, we'll have to have that, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so are you talking that or
Well, I
this
just,
month?
why don't we just go ahead and move this discussion to the next budget meeting?
Let's,
Okay.
let's,
Do we want, it's okay, you want to have it in December or have it in January?
I don't care.
January. But we need to vote on this so we can make sure that gets in there.
Well, you guys,
I-
you have
I
the
don't-
integrity of everybody at the council table.
Yeah.
The vote's not going to change
Okay,
the
make your
ultimate
motion
budget.
that he gives this
have a vote
number
on
to
the
Lonnie so
Yeah.
that Lonnie includes it for our next
All
meeting.
right, first of all, let's
Ain't
go ahead
worried
and
about it.
vote on
I would,
Worry about
the
well,
budget. All in favor of going ahead and incorporating this into the budget, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I am.
So it's 5-1?
You what?
I'm opposed,
You're opposed.
yes.
The vote's 5-1. Discussion is over.
I don't think there should be a separate, we're piecemeal.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. We're still gonna, we'll get it taken care of. Yeah, I mean, it's long, we're doing this roundabout way. Christie, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's what James,
I feel
that's
that
what,
we're making the cemetery more important than everything else.
yeah. And that's what James was trying
Well,
to
it
say.
kind of is when you look at it.
All right. Okay, well, now we got agenda setting session, so James, you can't play.
Oh, you bet you I can play.
Oh, okay. All right, anybody got something for the agenda? Terry?
Yeah, I would like for the city attorney to go ahead and have this on the agenda so we can have an ordinance to go ahead and vacate the property that we just did in 2250.
Terry Hall?
Yeah, on Dairy Hollow and the necessary documents to go ahead. Well, I don't have to do those yet because it's going to be 3 readings and then 30 days before it's in effect. But once we pass that ordinance, then so we can facilitate the trade.
The second ordinance always has the property descriptions.
Well, I didn't say that we didn't need the legal descriptions.
I misunderstood then.
He said he should need to.
We need the ordinance, and if the ordinance needs the legal descriptions. I'm saying as far as facilitating deeds and that doesn't need to be done until.
Oh, that's, Right, that's way after.
Yeah, because we got the 30 days before it's final anyway.
So we don't have legal, we won't have legal descriptions in the
For the
ordinance?
second ordinance, you would have legal descriptions.
Do we know that they'll be prepared?
Well,
It won't come to the table if they are.
we do have the legal descriptions for what the city is deeding away. We have those legal descriptions. That was in this ordinance we just did. We just don't have her legal descriptions for the swap.
Justin is working on that information.
That's a separate ordinance.
What is?
No, okay. Never mind, I'm confusing the issue.
There are survey markers all over out there. They should have them.
It'll probably be ready, but that's what she's going to deed to us, and that's not going to happen until after the second ordinance is final. We won't actually consummate the deal.
When Mr. Gherkin did a trade, it was all in the second ordinance.
Well, that's fine too. I mean, if that's how you want to do it.
Main thing is you want Tim to start working on the ordinance.
Yeah, and it can include it, if that's what,
If we have the legal description.
whatever that ordinance has to be to facilitate
Yeah.
the trade, then let's have her.
They're good. All right.
Want some action?
I do.
Here, second.
Yeah, so did somebody second that?
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mickey?
Oh, so confused. Okay, we've talked about this before lightly. I would now like to make it a discussion. In regards to our TV postings on our TV channel and the lack of updating. Can we please discuss this so we can come up with a final way that this is supposed to be done in a timely fashion? Because when we're looking at that, or our visitors are looking at that, and they're advertising stuff from June, this is a little pathetic. So can we please discuss that? And I should be informed on how it runs, or we can inform on what's supposed to
There's
happen.
no need to bring it before the council. I don't think it's a council issue. I think that's more of a, let me talk to Don Matt. He's the one who does this.
And we talked about this 6 months ago. It's the same
And he
thing
did,
that
I
was-
thought he did update it. I don't pay any attention to that. So Mickey, until somebody says something, I'm not aware of it. So I will get back on to Don Matt and talk to him again. But there's nothing the council can do.
The one that's the worst is Holiday Island, but we
Well,
had
now,
stuff on there
and
today.
possibly the only thing he can do is take Holiday Island off.
Can we have John arrested?
No, I just want to
Thomas?
thank you.
Lock them up.
All right. We'll have our TV man report this conversation.
Love you, Don. When are we supposed to do our swearing in?
I was going to announce that in the
Okay,
second.
then that's it. I mean, that wasn't for the agenda, that was a question.
Okay. That's right.
Earlier, you had talked about adding demo by neglect, and David had seconded. Our next meeting is in January. Do you want it on that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes, that'll be fine. I conferred with my council.
Okay. Anything else? James?
I would like discussion of a motion to cap the number of B&Bs in residential districts at their present number.
Okay, get a second?
Second.
All right.
How is it supposed to be worded if you're not going to be here?
You'll understand it at the next meeting.
No, I mean on here where it puts the two names.
All right, anything else? Okay, council comments. Chrissy?
I would like to thank James for his service on the council.
Terry?
Yeah, me too, for James. That's
You don't have to.
he's been here a long time. Well, I really don't want to either, but I am. So, yeah, I mean, he's been involved a long time. You know, whether we agree on everything has nothing to do with it. He's
Wrong on the ones that you
he's-
didn't agree with.
he's always been concerned and interested, and for that I'm much appreciative.
My pleasure.
James?
Well, since I brought up the issue of B&Bs, I feel I'm going to have to flesh it out. Not that I won't appear with those 3 minutes that you're allotted at the next council meeting. Having served as long as I have on council, it gives me a perspective that some of the new people here might not have reached yet. You come to the council table, look at the laws that are before us, and you naturally assume that that's the way it is. And I think there is always a responsibility to look again at some of the ordinances that we have and see how effective they are and do they work for the right reasons that they are. And this has been an issue that's been on my radar for a long time. That's why I made the motion for the moratorium on B&Bs to hopefully give planning, and unfortunately I just never had the opportunity to bring it to council in a timely manner, and I apologize about that. But this is a very contentious issue in our community. If you remember the meeting a few months ago when a lawyer just berated the Planning Commission. I mean, it just went off. There's so much passion and so much angst. We have a responsibility at this table to protect the community, and it's imperative that we protect our residential districts. And as I sit on the CAPC, I see what's occurring. Cabins and cottages, historic hotels, they're all doing very good, but B&Bs are diminishing. And every time you grant a CUP for a B&B in a residential zone, what you are doing is spot zoning. You're bringing a commercial venture into a residential district. But also at the same time, unfortunately, what you're doing is you're diluting the value of our commercial districts at the same time. So you tear at the fabric of the neighborhoods. And I think the one thing that we have that we project to the people that come to visit us is that we are a living, breathing community. And if B&Bs are allowed to proliferate, what will be the effect is you're going to run a lot of the existing B&Bs out of business, because there are changes in the consuming habits of the American public. And I think what we're seeing is the younger generations are moving more to the cabins and cottages and away from the B&Bs. So if you were to cap the number of B&Bs at the present rate we now have, which I think is more than enough, then planning only has to approve the applicant. They don't have to go through this lengthy procedure of notifying all of the people in the community, raising the angst of the neighbors that live there. And it becomes such a simple project when all you have to do is approve the applicants, because the property itself has already been through the mill. It's already been approved through all of the machinations that we put out there. So it's twofold what you do. You institute spot zoning, but I think what's more, well, that's always the most important issue, but the other ramification is that you dilute the value of commercial property in this community. And all you have to do is drive through town and look at all of the older motels and stuff that are sitting there vacant and up for sale. And I feel that you have to sometimes come to these issues with a new perspective. And I think the other aspect that I'm seeing is people are buying second homes in the communities, and a lot of times they sit vacant for months and months and months on end. And that's not something that you'll be able to address. You'll not be able to prohibit people from buying second and third homes. And I just feel that if you approach this from a new aspect and understand what it does to the neighborhoods and what it does to the commercial value of properties, and just the simplicity of capping the B&Bs at the present rate. It just simplifies the system so much better. There's already plenty of B&Bs in the community. I don't feel we need more. More will just dilute the ones we have right now, and particularly potentially cause a downturn in their revenues. So I think it's something that I would like to see council take a look at from the aspect of we have enough and that we don't need any more. I thank everybody for putting up with me sometimes. I know I can get passionate about things, but that's, I don't know, maybe that's just being Italian. I probably won't go away. You'll probably see me up at that microphone occasionally. I know you will. But I'm glad to have served the community and as a city council person. I will continue to be involved in the community. Just an FYI, there's an upcoming seat on the CAPC that will be available, and I hope I will get the nod from all of you here at council. That'll probably come up in January. We've actually got a couple of vacancies, and I'd like to think that you all would approve me for the restaurant position on the CAPC. And that's enough for me.
Thanks, James. David?
Thank you, James, for all you have done and will continue to do. Very obviously, the issue that he brought up about B&Bs, I'd like to be sure that we coordinate that with the newest information and the newest data that was presented to us from planning. And I think that was left with the mayor in some discussion. Melissa outlined some very clear distinction changes that they wanted made to the code, and I don't know where that's at. So we definitely want to be sure that that new information that was presented, passed from planning, is brought to this discussion, and it is not, we don't subvert or anything the hard work of planning in our zeal to run off on a topic. And likewise, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and everything that is politically correct about this season.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't like PC. Merry Christmas, everybody. Yes, James, I am going to miss having somebody throw my microphone at. As adversarial as you and I have been for years upon years upon years, you being full Irish or full Italian, me being full Irish makes for a lot of difference. But our goals, for the most part, have always been the same, just from different directions. So enjoy your retirement, so to speak. Have fun, work hard, bring us snacks on occasion. And really, thank you. You have done good. Merry Christmas, everyone. Be safe.
Well, James, you don't talk very much, so what you say is always memorable, but truly the most important thing, or the thing that I'll always remember the most is that the couple of times that you reminded us, don't put a face on it, because I think that's very important when people come to us for things and all, that we remember we have to apply the law and follow the rules and not make decisions based on who it is. And I just thank you for that, because I've kept it in my mind many times, even when I'm out at the grocery store or something and somebody wants to talk to me about an issue, and I have to say, okay, I have to listen. I don't want, I can't put a face on it and ignore it because of the face, or pay more attention to it because of the face. So I appreciate that advice. Thank you.
All right. Several different things. I'm going to go through the upcoming events for the next couple of weeks. Ongoing in December, we've got Snow Village and the train on the Gaskin Switch, which is a fundraiser for the Historical Museum. If you haven't been up there to see that, it's quite a little setup that they have. Larry and Kathy Hanley have been doing this for 2 or 3 years now. It's a lot of fun, and kids love it up there, so do the adults. Also ongoing in December is the Christmas tree forest at Crescent Hotel. And for our entertainment, it's December 17th. It's a Home for the Holidays concert at the auditorium. Admission is 2 cans of food for the Flint Street Food Bank. And this is a collection of the local artists getting up and playing and always do a wonderful job. It's a great benefit. It's a great time for the community to get together. That's at 7 o'clock. And at the same night, at 7 o'clock, is the Night of 1,000 Santas. This is where I guess they're gathering at the New Delhi and then on to various locations. It says for deconstructed pub crawl. I don't know what that means.
Don't think I want to know.
I don't think the emergency police, I don't know. But anyway, Night of 1,000 Santas, it sounds like a lot of fun. So after the Home for the Holidays, you can go do the Santa thing. For the council members, we're going to do the swearing in on January 1st. You actually have 2 choices. You can go at midnight over to Carroll County Courthouse. If you want to do that at midnight, get sworn in by the county clerk. Or we will do an 11 o'clock swearing in here at the courthouse, probably downstairs, depending on the weather. We've done it on the front steps before, but we'll do it downstairs in the mayor's office. 11 a.m. on January 1.
Bring your papers.
And the clerk wants your papers at that time.
What papers?
So,
Once I just hand it to you.
I do have a question for Ann.
Okay.
Just real quick. When are we going to bring that new financial thing in? We have to do that again.
January 31st.
I'll be getting the blanks together for those who didn't fill them out. Christy won't need to do one, but everybody else will.
January 31?
It will be, the deadline is the end of January.
And they just come to you though, this time. We don't take the variable, they just come to you.
They always come to the clerk treasurer.
The answer is yes.
And don't we have something that we owe for running, even though we didn't, that we owe the county clerk that was in that packet? Some kind of a
There's
financial.
a final financial report if you've taken in any
That's right, but I thought we had to fill it out that says no anyway. But we don't.
You didn't campaign.
Yeah, you had no opponent.
You get more than, I think it's $500, or spend more than $500 to do it.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Just double checking.
And I guess at the end of it, James, I want to thank you for your, I was sitting here trying to figure out, and you probably know, but I know it's at least 12 years, it may be 14 years.
No, 10. 5 terms.
10?
5 terms and 4 on CAPC, so that's 14.
Okay, yeah. 10 years of dedicated service. You do and always exhibited the principles, putting principles before personalities. As Bob said, not putting faces to the issues, and I think that's so important. You also bring a lot of history and enthusiasm to a lot of issues through there. And you also always brought up a lot of issues that needed to be considered. But more important was your dedication and willingness to be of service. That's so important. Now, I will miss you, and I know the council will miss you, and we will be seeing you again, I'm sure, up here at the microphone, and probably in the future again. So, who knows? But, anyway, have a nice vacation in your retirement you do there. But thank you again for your services. So, and if I had a resolution, I would read it, a proclamation. But you've done good.
Good enough, I appreciate that.
All right, so nothing else, get a motion to
Move to adjourn.
All right, James did it, now all in favor.